She shows interest, then suddenly goes quiet. Most men think that means rejection. But what if that belief is exactly why so many connections fade before they even begin? Because sometimes when a woman pulls away, it is not because she does not care, it is because things started to feel real. And here is the uncomfortable truth. If you respond the way most men do, explaining, reassuring, chasing for clarity, you do not fix the situation. You quietly confirm her fear. There is one psychological shift almost every man misreads. When you see it clearly, you will instantly know the difference between genuine loss of interest and someone retreating from feelings they are not ready to face. And once you understand that difference, you stop sabotaging yourself without even realizing it. Here is what most men never realize. When a woman develops unexpected feelings, her mind does not celebrate, it panics. Not because you did something wrong, but because emotional closeness feels like loss of control. The same way standing near the edge of a cliff creates fear, not because you are falling, but because you could. That is what vulnerability feels like to someone who has learned that closeness leads to pain. And here is where you probably made your biggest mistake. You tried to fix the fear, you explained your intentions, you reassured her. You leaned in harder, thinking, clarity creates safety. But instead of calming her nervous system, it did the opposite. It confirmed the very thing she was afraid of, that emotions were about to move faster than she could control. So she pulled back, not to play games, not to test you, but to breathe. And if you do not understand this moment, you will mistake fear for rejection and respond in ways that quietly push her further away. You thought explaining yourself was the mature thing to do, but what you were really doing was trying to make her fear go away so you could feel safe again. Think about the last time she went distant E. You sent that extra message, not because it was necessary, but because silence made you uncomfortable. You wanted clarity, not for her sake, but so you would not have to sit with the anxiety of not knowing where you stand. In that moment, you did not realize you were training her nervous system to associate closeness with pressure. Modern women are often taught to value independence above all else, to build careers, to have their own lives, to never need anyone. And that is not a bad thing. It is empowering, but there is a hidden cost. When a woman who prides herself on self-sufficiency starts developing real feelings, it creates internal conflict. Part of her wants connection. Part of her fears losing herself. In that connection, she starts asking questions that do not have easy answers. If I let him in, will I lose my autonomy? If I care this much, does that make me weak? What if I need him more than he needs me? The woman who is hardest to get close to is often the one who wants closeness the most. She's just terrified of what it will cost her. And I want you to ask yourself something. Have you ever pulled back from something you really wanted because you were scared of how much you wanted it? Maybe it was a career opportunity. Maybe it was a dream you talked yourself out of. If you have, then you already understand what she is going through. The tragic irony is this. The men who make her feel this way are often the ones worth keeping, because mediocre connections do not trigger this level of internal chaos. Only the real ones do. So if she is pulling back, it might not be because you are not enough. It might be because you are exactly what she has been afraid of finding. And here is the part that will make you rethink every interaction you have had. She has probably already tested you multiple times without telling you there was a test. Women do not consciously sit down and plan these tests. They emerge instinctively as emotional protection mechanisms. The tests look like this. She goes cold to see if you will panic and chase. She mentions other guys to gauge your reaction. She cancels plans to see if you will get upset or move on unbothered. She shares something vulnerable, then watches how you handle it. And here is the thing that might sting a bit. You probably failed these tests not because you are weak, but because you responded from insecurity instead of strength. When she went cold, you got anxious and started texting more. When she mentioned another guy, you either got visibly upset or tried too hard to seem unbothered. When she canned, you made it about you instead of just moving on with your day. What she was really testing was not whether you liked her. She already knew that she was testing whether you were secure enough to handle her complexity without falling apart or trying to control her. Can you give her space without making it about you? Can you stay consistent when she's inconsistent? Can you be interested without being needy? But here is what I need you to hear. You probably did not know these tests were happening. How could you? Nobody tells you this stuff, and now that you know these tests exist, You can respond differently, not by playing games back, but by being genuinely secure in yourself. If this helped you even a little, please like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Your support truly motivates me to keep sharing this message. Now let us talk about the actual signs. This first sign will make you completely reframe what you thought was rejection. She texts you back instantly one day. Steep conversation, laughter, real connection the next day. One-word responses, hours between replies. Emotional shutdown. You probably interpreted this as loss of interest. But here is what was actually happening. The warmer she got, the colder she went the next day. It was not random, it was proportional. Had an amazing conversation last night. Watch her create distance tomorrow morning. Why? Because closeness triggers fear, and fear triggers retreat. If she truly did not care, the temperature would be consistently cold. She would just not engage. But this back and forth, that is internal conflict playing out in real time, part of her wants to lean in, part of her wants to protect herself. The part that wants protection often wins, at least temporarily. Here is the hidden pattern within the pattern. Pay attention to when she goes cold. If it is always right after vulnerable moments, after she shared something personal, after you two had a particularly connected conversation, that is your confirmation. You have been in this situation where everything seemed perfect. One moment, then ice cold the next, and you drove yourself crazy trying to figure out what you did wrong. She was not rejecting you, she was managing her own fear. And when you recognize this, your entire approach changes. You stop taking it personally. You stop panicking. You stop doing the thing that makes it worse, chasing harder when she pulls back, because now you understand the pattern, and understanding gives you power. Now, this next sign is both subtle and unmistakable once you see it. She takes hours to respond to your messages, but she views your stories within minutes. She acts distant in person, but you catch her looking at you when she thinks you are not paying attention. She says she is busy, but she remembers details from conversations you had weeks ago, things you barely remember saying yourself. This is the behavior of someone paying attention despite trying not to. And here is what that means. She cares way more than she is letting on. Women who are genuinely uninterested do not invest mental energy tracking your life. They do not replay your conversations. They do not notice small changes in your mood or routine. But a woman who is scared of her feelings, she is watching closely. She knows what time you usually post. She knows which friends you were with last weekend. She noticed you changed your profile picture, and here is the part she probably hates. She notices these things because noticing means caring, and caring means vulnerability. So she overcompensates by appearing distant in direct interactions. Think about the last time you really liked someone. You found yourself paying attention to details you would normally ignore, checking their social media, even when you told yourself not to. That is what she is doing, except she's fighting it harder because she is more afraid. What this means for you is this: when you realize she is watching, you can communicate without saying a word. Live your life fully. Post about things you are passionate about, show growth, show depth, show that you are thriving with or without her attention, not to try to get a reaction from her, but because a man who is genuinely living well is naturally attractive, and she will notice even if she never comments, even if she never acknowledges it. She is watching. Here is a sign that happens outside of your direct interactions. Her friends act strange around you. They give you knowing looks. They seem surprised when she acts distant towards you. They might even pull you aside and say things like, "She talks about you, or "you should text her," or "do not give up on her." Why does this matter? Because women who are not interested do not make you a topic of conversation with their inner circle. If her friends are invested in you, it is because she has been talking about you a lot. They have heard about the conversations you had, the way you made her laugh, the moments she cannot stop thinking about. And they have probably also heard about her fears, her hesitations, her confusion about what she's feeling. Her friends know the full story, the parts she shows you and the parts she is hiding. Here is the deeper layer. If her friends start creating opportunities for you two to be alone together, or if they conveniently disappear when you show up, that is not coincidence. That is coordination. They are rooting for you. They are trying to help her get out of her own way. And honestly, that tells you more than her words ever could. You have probably questioned whether you are reading too much into things, whether you are just seeing what you want to see. When her friends are actively trying to bring you two together, that is external confirmation that what you are sensing is real. Because a woman's inner circle is protective, they do not waste time on guys who are not worth it. If they are invested, it means they see something real, even if she is too scared to admit it yet. Here is the approach that separates emotionally mature men from everyone else. You probably made one of two mistakes. When she pulled back, you either chased harder, trying to convince her it was safe, or you walked away completely assuming she was playing games. Both approaches failed, and here is why. Chasing confirmed you needed her validation. Walking away confirmed you never actually cared. Neither built safety, neither created attraction. And look, I get it. When someone you care about goes cold, every instinct tells you to either fix it or protect yourself. That is human, that is normal. So what actually works? Give her space, but do not disappear. Match her energy, not out of pettiness, but out of respect for her process. If she pulls back, you pull back too. Not to punish her, but to show her you are not sitting around waiting for her to decide your worth. You have a life, you have purpose, you are building something meaningful with or without her. But here is the sophisticated part. When you pull back to something, not to nothing. Stay consistent but not clingy. Check in occasionally. Keep it light, genuine, specific. Show her you are still interested. But your world does not revolve around her response time instead of, hey, have not heard from you in a while. Everything okay? Try saw this article on a topic she mentioned and thought of you. Hope you are doing well. You see the difference? One reeks of anxiety. The other shows you are living a life interesting enough to have things worth sharing. And when she sees you are not shaken by her distance, something powerful happens. The fear starts to fade. Now here is what creates real attraction. During this phase, women are drawn to emotional depth, but repelled by emotional dependency. And you might not know the difference. Depth means you are in touch with your feelings. You can articulate them. You are comfortable with vulnerability. Dependency means you need her to regulate your emotions, validate your worth, or give your life meaning. One is attractive, the other is suffocating. Here is a question to ask yourself when she goes distant. Do you panic because you are losing connection with someone you value, or because you are losing the validation that makes you feel okay about yourself? Be honest. There is no judgment here, just awareness. Share your own experiences with fear and vulnerability. Not to create pity, but to create connection instead of, I really like you and I am scared of losing you. Try. I have been in situations where I got too attached, too fast, and it backfired. So I get the hesitation. You see what happened there? Same message, completely different energy. The first one puts pressure on her to fix your anxiety. The second one shows you understand the complexity of human emotion, including your own. Here is what this does. It gives her permission to be human. It removes the pressure to have everything figured out. It shows her that you can hold space for difficult emotions without falling apart. And paradoxically, when you stop needing her to feel secure, she starts feeling safe with you. Because security does not come from someone who desperately clings. It comes from someone who is grounded enough to let things unfold naturally. You already have that capacity. You just need to trust it. And here is the final piece that changes everything. Every moment you spend analyzing her signals is a moment you are not spending building yourself. Let that sink in. You put your entire life on pause, waiting for a woman to decide if she was ready. Meanwhile, months passed, opportunities disappeared, and you wondered why you felt stuck. Do not be that guy anymore. Hit the gym. Not to make her jealous, but because physical discipline builds mental strength. Pursue your goals. Not to prove something, but because purpose is attractive. Spend time with people who value you. Not to show her you have options, but because quality relationships remind you of your worth. Build something you are proud of. Not for her approval, but because a man with mission is a man worth choosing. You have probably already been doing some of this, and I want you to recognize that. Give yourself credit for the work you're already putting in when she sees you thriving, not desperate, not waiting, not broken by her distance. Two things happen. One, she realizes you are not putting your life on hold for her to decide. Two, she starts to feel safe because a man who is secure in himself is a man she can trust with her heart. The paradox is this: the more you focused on her, the less attractive you became. The more you focus on yourself, the more attractive you become. Not because you are playing games, but because you are demonstrating the exact quality. She is afraid to bet on stability, and stability is not boring, it is rare. You do not have to be like most men who crumble when tested. You can be the man who understands her fear without absorbing it, the man who gives space without disappearing, the man who remains grounded when everything around him feels uncertain. That is not about games, that is maturity, and maturity, that is what turns fear into trust. Here is the final truth. You cannot force someone to stop being afraid, but you can become the kind of man who makes fear feel unnecessary, not by convincing her with words, but by showing her through consistency, depth, and self-respect. I know this journey is not easy. You have probably been through situations where you did everything right and still did not get the outcome you wanted. That does not mean you failed. It means you are learning to navigate one of the most complex aspects of human connection. The real test is not whether she chooses you. It is whether you can be interested without being obsessed. Because the moment you become obsessed, you have already lost not just her but yourself. If this resonated with you, subscribe to Inside Her Psychology for more insights that help you understand connection without losing yourself in it. Drop a comment with the word clarity. If this shifted your perspective, I will see you in the next.